Hello and welcome to another review for filmandgamecomposers.com. I'm your host, Meena Shamaly, and in this video we are looking at 8Dio's Ukulele Bundle. So in this bundle you get the Ukulele Solo and the Ukulele Strummer. And I'm going to split this into two parts. So in this first part we're going to talk about the Solo, second part we're going to talk about the Strummer, and we're going to see how they both work together. So, product page. The Solo comes at $99. Their tagline is that it is a deep sampled realistic solo ukulele. The Strummer comes in at $99 as well, a deep sampled ukulele strumming. And if you purchase them in the bundle, you get them for $149, which means you save $50 off the price of an individual library. So, start off with looking at the Solo ukulele, which they say is part of their Natural Acoustic series. They've done the dobro, they've done the steel string guitar so far. So this is a library done in the same vein. So if you have one of those two libraries, you know pretty much what to expect. It's just you replace the sound with the ukulele, and there you've got pretty much a similar kind of thing. So they say it's a passionate, deep sampled, authentic high-end ukulele. They recorded in great detail, including hundreds of natural fret and release noises, natural strum samples, so if you play chords, it'll sound like it's strummed, and a bunch of different things. There's a bunch of round robins as well. So I don't know if you see the technical specifications here, with the round robins and everything. Anyway, we'll have a look at that ourselves. So what it requires is the full retail version of Kontakt 4.2 or later. So if you do not have a full version, this won't work on the free player. If you don't have a full version of Kontakt, go get it. Trust me, you will not regret it, because then you have access to a lot of third-party sample libraries that get released in the Kontakt format. All right, so let's have a look at our Solo ukulele. So I'll open up an empty instance of Kontakt, and so since this is not a free sample player, a free Kontakt library, Kontakt player library, that's what I'm trying to say. Since it requires the full version of Kontakt, it won't appear in the libraries tab. So you would go to the Files tab, or you would go in the Quick Load tab if you have set it up that way. So I'll do that. We'll go into Ukulele Solo, and under Instruments, you'll find either Main or Light. So they offer pretty much the same thing, except the Light is lighter on resources and offers, I think, fewer round robins and might be sampled at every other note. So there you go. We'll have a listen to the difference between them anyway. So we'll have a look at the GUI. To start off with, you have all the presets here, so if you wanted to look at a bunch of different presets, you just load up one patch and select the presets within it. So you got fingered presets, you got thumbed presets, and some morphed presets where they add in a few other sounds with the ukulele. You got some fret control, some release noises, some strum control, and dampening noises. And then if you look at the other part of it, we've got a bunch of effects. If you've seen their Cage, they introduced this kind of effects rack in 8Dio's Cage series. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of things that are available on the panel, these front two panels. Of course, you can do more by hitting the wrench and looking in the back, but you know, the fact that they've offered you so much on the front panel is great. So I'm a big fan of that. All right, so let's have a quick listen. So we'll have a look at the natural fingered thing, the natural fingered preset. So there you go. that's a natural preset. Sounds pretty nice, sounds pretty dynamic, and a lot of round robins there, so you can almost tremolo it and it'll sound okay. So there you go. So, sounds really great, and the dynamic range is pretty nice. So it's a really nice sound. I like that sound. It's nice and clean, and it sounds realistic as well, right? I'm playing this with some synth action keys, so they're pretty light, because they kind of match the lightness of the sound of the ukulele. If you play them on piano keys, this is me playing on piano keys, which you won't really hear the difference, but you'll feel it. You feel it as you play, because, if your piano keys are weighted, it doesn't really match that really light sound of a ukulele. So there you go. Now, this library does not have legato. I will say that up front. If you're going to try to do something realistic and you're going to have to do it without legato, that kind of puts a crick in your realistic claim, right? It sounds great because there's a lot of round robins and a lot of dynamic range to play with. So it might not matter as much. I mean, this is the same with the dobro, and I don't have the dobro. I have the steel string guitar, and there's no legato in that either. There's no true legato sampled in that either, and it kind of puts a crick in your whole realistic thing. But it does sound great, and maybe with a ukulele you don't really need hammer-ons and pull-offs, because it's not really that idiomatic. People won't really play it like that. But the fact that it isn't there is kind of, well, it's realistic to a point, Of course, if you play really dynamically, and I think this kind of instrument really benefits from playing dynamically, especially to emulate kind of the feel of having hammer-ons and pull-offs. Because if you play it like, you play that second note, you play that second note softer, and it kind of feels like a hammer-on or a pull-off. So this is a hammer-on. But it's not a true hammer-on or a pull-off. So, I just need to say that up front, because it's not... you can't tell me it's realistic and then not provide me with legato. I mean, there are other libraries... Well, not many that I know, but there's only like one other library that I know that does offer ukulele with legato. It's from Ver2, from Big Fish Audio as well. It's the same kind of thing. It's acoustics. It has guitars and ukulele. So the ukulele in there has true legato, true sample legato. So I'm not making this as a comparison. I'm just mentioning it as a point, right? But beyond that, I mean, I don't have a problem with how it sounds and how it handles. So if you play it the right way, it kind of really sounds nice. So we've also got so this was the fingered. Fingered is just like you play with all 4 fingers, or all 5 fingers, however you would play on 4 strings, right? So I'm just got the sustain pedal here as well. If you play the thumbed, so that's every note on every string played with a thumb on every fret. So it's a different sound, definitely. So that's your natural, that's your fingered. And that's your thumbed. Feels a little brighter, maybe a little thinner, I'm not sure. It's definitely a different sound, and you can combine them if you want to. Like, load up one with fingered, one with thumbed, and see the difference for yourself. So it's up to you, but like, you know, you can get a lot of use out of both. Now, before I go into the other presets, I'll just look into this. So you got fret control, so some fret noises. If I put it right up, you'll hear the fret noises. See those shuffles? Those shuffles are inserted with the samples. If I put it right down, then you won't hear it. I'll just put up the thumb maybe so you can just hear the thumb as well as we're playing. So now if I put the fret right up, maybe put the amount. The amount kind of is how much fret to add. Maybe sometimes it'll add a lot less here. But if you put it more, you'll hear a lot more fret noises. Put the volume right down. Down a little bit. So there you go. So it's really nice to add the feeling of a live player. You add those little extra noises because that means, you know, the guy's shuffling and doing stuff in front of the microphone. So I'll put it down so we can hear the rest of it. So we got release. If I turn it off, if I put it on, you kind of hear the sound of the player releasing his finger from each string, from each fret. So I'll put it right up here so you can hear it. If I put it down, you won't hear it. And see, there's a bit of a delay here, like a delay effect, so I'm just going to turn it off, just so you can hear it. So see, no release and release. So it kind of makes the whole thing realistic. It's lifting your fingers off the strings, right? So I'll just turn it off and then we'll turn on the strum. So here the strum is turned on by default, right? What it is when you play a chord or play more than one note, it'll insert a sample that sounds like it's strummed, so it's on top of your chord. If I turn it off, see if you hear it. Turn it back on. If it maybe with like 3 or 4 fingered chords. Right? So turn it off. Kind of sounds like a normal sample. Put it right up, you can hear. You can hear what those samples are. And put that with the release as well. So it's like. So all of a sudden you've got a lot more to play with. Now I'll turn those off as well, and then we'll turn on the dampen. Dampen is more when you're playing a bunch of consecutive notes. So this is what it sounds like with it off. So it's sort of a mechanism to dampen the previous note when you're playing the next note. So kind of if you turn it on. I think it's subtle, but it's there. Kind of helps liven things up a little bit, and I think it's sort of the antithesis of not having a legato, is if you're going to do that. You know? Let's turn it off. It's subtle, but it's there, right? So what I'm going to do is just going to reload that as default as it comes out of the box. So we'll have a look at this on at the rest of the presets, right? So here in the fingered, we've got natural. We've got cathedral, which puts it in sort of a larger space. It's really nice, and I think that's a lot of reverb in the effects track here. So if I turn it off, maybe. Oh, it's part of the actual preset. There you go. So then you got wide double, which kind of does a stereo thing. So it's like it's double tracked. I think they might have done some tricks with the round robins to do that. I don't know. And like maybe pan some round robins one way, some round robins the other. But I'm not going to question that. So it's really nice. It really sounds great. And if you want to do it with chords. Right. And then you got Banjolele, morphed into a unique Banjolele, which... So that's your Banjolele. And then Infinite. It's a nice big reverb. It keeps playing as long as you hold it. So, got some interesting textures there. Now for thumbed, so we got again natural. We got cathedral, which is again a nice big reverb. Wide double. So compare that to the wide double of, so that's a really nice thing to kind of, it's sort of track ready stereo. Then we got soft breeze, and they got the descriptions here: deep resonant body with metallic overtones. And then reverse ukulele. So there you go. So now you'll notice that I'm playing all within this blue range over here, because that is the natural sampled range of the instruments. Over here, the green ones are actually stretched beyond the natural range. So you can really do whatever you want with it. So I was just playing here's playing naturally. But if I wanted to play the whole kind of range, so that'll kind of make it won't sound like a ukulele anymore to an extent. Although this is like a soprano ukulele, so if you wanted to do a tenor ukulele or bass ukulele, you can, but it's not naturally sampled. So it's definitely possible, and you can retune your ukulele, I suppose. If I put it right down. But it does have that tuned down sound, which can work with some of the other presets. Maybe with the Banjolele or the Infinite. Or I could maybe with the soft breeze. So you're not in any way constricted to the original sampled range of the instrument. Now, morphed presets. These are all, you know, we're not talking about ukuleles anymore. Where they're morphed when these morphed presets that 8Dio do provide in their libraries, they usually add in some different samples, different instruments mixed in with the sound. So something like this, morphed with extraterrestrial strings, dust cloud. So it can always make that lower range interesting as well, because it's no longer just ukulele. So we got The Shore, coated with metallic overtones. So there you go. And then you got Sanctuary, smothered with lush piano resonance. And sometimes you can even get rid of some of these little noises, like the fret noise, and then it'll just work. You know? So, pretty cool stuff. So the thing is, you're not only just getting a ukulele library, you're also getting some other sounds that can be useful in different ways. Retrolele, complemented by retro synthesis. There you go. So you're getting a ukulele mixed in with a synthesizer, which is pretty nice. Nice swelling synthesizer. If you saw me moving the mod wheel there, the mod wheel actually does nothing. So then we got analog, so warm analog synths. I haven't been playing anything really ukulele-like, have I? So there you go. So those are the presets that are available. And before I move on, I'll just do a quick comparison between the sound of the main and the sound of the light. So here's your main. If I just play the natural, sorry, let's put it back here, and maybe play some repetition samples so you can hear. Try that on this one, on the light. You know, so that's kind of... The difference is subtle, but it's definitely there. And, you know, if you're light on resources, you can still use the lights and come up with some great results. So there you go. So not too shabby at all. So a couple more things we're going to talk about. And if we've got the effects rack, so you can do a whole bunch of different things beyond what the samples are offering, which I'm not going to get into it because that might require its own video. But you know, you got our arpeggiator here, and then you can make it whatever you want. So I could really kind of mess with it. And you got a filter, high pass, low pass, and a bunch of things you can do. You got an equalizer, degraders if you want. Some distortion. Distorted ukulele, why not? When did you ever hear someone ask for that, right? You got transgate. So that's yeah, you can do what you want there. And you got your delays. And this transform. It's sort of like, it's hard to explain. So if I put different presets. If I put in like, I don't know if it's like a weird convolution, but it's pretty cool. I'll tell you what. Mega horns, for example. And then you got reverb. So if I change this, for example. If I changed Sharoom. I got it like a little thing to place it in the room. So here for you. So you move it up. So that's a pretty cool thing. It's like sort of like a room placement thing. I don't know how they do that, but hey, it works. If I put this like in this big cathedral, put the mix right up. We got it in different parts of the cathedral. So anyway, so that's a pretty cool thing we can do, right? And if we load this again. Of course, we can always kind of mess with it if you tune it right down here. And maybe try that with the morphed categories. And if you EQ it differently, you can kind of get the sheen back. You know, do stuff with the analog. So some pretty cool stuff there. But we'll just tune it back and you can do whatever you want. So it takes well to pitching because it's well recorded, so that's pretty cool. One last thing I'm going to talk about is while this is made for solo playing, it of course can be used for chords to an extent. If you really want chords and strumming, you'd get the Strummer, and we'll talk about it in the next part. But it holds its own to an extent. And what I've done here is I've just set up a little sequence where I've got a chord progression running, right? So I'll play it. Let's open it up and play it. And let me just put the sustain pedal on here so you can see it. So it can hold itself well, and sometimes I think maybe you need, if you play it at lower velocities, it sounds a bit nicer. right? So this is played on the natural fingered. Sorry, if I played with a natural thumb, it sounds like this. Same sequence. And here at a lower dynamic. At which point it starts sounding a bit more like a guitar, really. But the point here is you can use it to make chords, right? If I play it, like I'll just play it straight away, straight off the keys, right? With some sustain pedal. Because you got the release on, and you got some dampening on happening, and fret control, so it all kind of sounds really nice and natural. A little tip, like the only thing is, you gotta, if you want to really make it sound right, you gotta roll it a little bit. Right, you gotta roll it a little bit. But a little tip is, see these little things here? This is sort of my alternative to like muting or like slapping the strings. It's not strapping, sorry, like with palming the strings to mute them when you're strumming. So you just take one of these, really shorten the length, and put the velocity down a little bit, so it'll sound like it's being palm muted. See what I mean? So if I mute it, if I kind of silence it. Did I even get it? Don't think I did. That first phrase. There you go. See what I mean? If I do this instead, put it back. So you can kind of get that little extra bit of muting, which kind of adds to the realism. But anyway, that's just to demonstrate that strumming can be done with it. It will get you some of the way there. But if you want to get all the way there, and maybe we can have a look at the Strummer. So overall, what do we think of the Solo? I think it sounds fantastic. Sounds very natural and realistic, except that there is no legato, which I take issue with, because if you're going to make a claim for something being realistic, you're not going to provide legato. Like, it still sounds great. And if you hear trolls play it in some of the demos, people have done some amazing things with it. So it definitely doesn't get in the way of a great track and a great performance. I just take qualm with saying something's realistic when you've omitted an entire realistic part of it. So some great presets, and it goes beyond just being a normal ukulele. So I'm happy with it. Is it worth $99? Yes, because there's a lot of detail in there. Some developers would offer this kind of library for a bit less. So if that price is an issue, I mean, people, like, they have been libraries like this that are like, deep sampled stringed instruments are provided at lower costs if you want. So maybe this might be a little on the higher side, but not by much, really. Like, might be like $79 instead of $99, So not a big showstopper in terms of the wallet, but you can always vote with your wallets and with your money whether you want to spend your money there or not. But as to what I think, is it something worth having? Yes, because someone's going to ask me for a ukulele, and I can always pull out my real ukulele, or I can pull out this lovely instrument, and I can get some pretty great results. So I'll see you back at part 2 for the Strummer, and we'll see how those two libraries complement each other. All right, see you soon.